Hi guys, Thierry here, also known as Video Demon. Today we're doing another album review. Finally, I really enjoy doing them. Apologies for the lack of videos. Been busy at the moment with university, but expect some very exciting projects soon. Yes, I got lots of good new videos coming out, short films. I'm not going to reveal what they are yet, I'm going to keep it a secret. They are like assignments, so that's the purpose of them, but they're still going to be like really good and you'll enjoy them. But I don't really have a lot of like off time to do other videos at the minute, but I still try to make them anyway, and I hope you enjoy them as well. So I'm still going to do album reviews. I'm going to continue. And today we're going to do an album review of an underrated band who aren't together anymore. And they really should have been bigger, honestly. So this is an album review of Paloalto's second album, Heroes and Villains, released in July 2003. July of 2003. God, 2003 was a great year for music. So many albums. I can't even list like them all here. But yeah. Heroes and Villains, probably the best rock album you've never heard of. I definitely recommend this one. Before I get to the review, I was going to mention as well, um, the reason that I'm actually sitting down is because I'm in a new accommodation. This has been like the fourth or fifth room, I think, at this point for my videos. But yeah, I'm in a new room and I can't do it standing up because the bed is too close. There isn't much walking room here, so I have to sit down. But it shouldn't be an issue. Um, it shouldn't affect the way the video looks. And I've decorated the room. Obviously, you got Death Note there, and Dune 2021 with Timothy Chalamet, which I might do a review of that movie because I'm not gonna lie, it was the best film of 2021. I love Dune, and I saw it at the Odeon, and they gave me a free poster. So how cool is that? Oh yeah, and League of Extraordinary Gentlemen as well. I like that movie. Shut up. But anyway, uh, all that aside, this album review is not going to be too long. Hopefully not anyway. The Daredevil one was like 30 minutes, which was a bit overkill. But this one, we're going to go quite quick fire with it. Let's go through the history. Palo Alto were formed in California. They're an American band. Oh, I said Australian. American band. I don't know the names of all the band members, but the singer is important to mention. He's called James Grundler because James Grundler has done some other projects and is still working on projects to this day. So before Palo Alto, he was in a band called the Din Pedals, who their biggest claim to fame was that they had a song on the I Know What You Did Last Summer soundtrack, which had a lot of good bands on it, like Korn and Our Lady Peace, for example. But then they literally like broke up as they were just starting to get big. And Palo Alto obviously formed, but when Palo Alto broke up, James Grundler formed Golden State, who are more of like a pop rock kind of band. Uh, you know, not my kind of thing. I haven't checked them out much, but they seem alright. But this was definitely the peak, Palo Alto. So, what is their style of music? They're very rocky, alternative rock, but I'd also class them as like soft rock as well. But some of these songs do have like grit to them. Like there is like the electric guitars are quite. They're not. I wouldn't say heavy, but um they're impactful sounding. But I'd say they're like alternative rock, maybe a bit of soft rock, and surprisingly, I would have called these guys Britpop, but they're not British, they're American. So I can't even class them as Britpop because they really do sound like the music of that at the time. Their sound is more like after the 90s, more like the early to mid 2000s kind of bands. So they're very similar to Radiohead. Um, oh god, very similar to Radiohead. Like his voice sounds very much like Tom York's with his pronunciations. Coldplay as well, like probably early Coldplay, like the first three albums. Travis, who did Why Does It Always Rain on Me? and Keane, who did like Somewhere Only We Know, and Muse as well. Like his voice definitely sounds like the vocalist of Muse. I forgot his name. So there's some examples of who they sound like. Paloalto, they unfortunately they formed in 2000 and released their self-titled debut album. But in my opinion, it's not a bad album, but it definitely feels like uh, it's not very memorable. The songs aren't all that catchy. It definitely feels like a debut album. Like they were just trying things out, I think. Some of the songs have really weird titles, like The Mayor and the Seizure Pills, like some kind of like Mars Volta type shit. But it's a fine album, it's decent. But Heroes and Villains is incredible. Nearly all the songs are catchy and memorable. There's some duds in here, but like they're not bad. All the songs are really catchy and memorable. They're beautiful. The production and the string arrangements is gorgeous. And of course the album and the first one was produced by legendary producer Rick Rubin. So and you can tell when you listen to this album with like the loudness of the guitars, and the snare drums are very loud. They have a punch to them, which is very nice. I do like loud snare drums. Rick Rubin produced it, and as you can see, it's American Records. We're going to look at the jewel case. The album cover is really interesting. It's got pictures of random people's faces on. They all kind of range from different age groups. Like there's young people, there's like teenagers, but there's like elderly people on it as well. They're different races, so there's like white, black people. There's some like I think Latin American, there's like Asian people, and there's like men and women as well. But yeah, and the title Heroes and Villains, I think the heroes are the ones who are in colour, and the villains are the ones that are in grayscale. I think that's what it's supposed to mean. But it's really interesting looking. It's I'm guessing all these people like participated in. I don't know what the process was, but they participated in being in it, which is really cool. It's very simplistic looking as well, which I enjoy. And of course, Palo Alto was named after a city in California, I think. But yeah, uh, let's open it up. So there's more faces inside of it. And the disc is obviously the typical American recordings thing. But whenever I see that design, I just think of Toxicity by System of a Down. Literally the first thing I think of when I see that. So anyway, without further ado, let's get on to the album review because we're about 7 minutes in. So let's do it. We'll go through all the songs, and I'll also mention appearances of these songs. So let's get to it. Why should you listen to Heroes and Villains? Also, speaking of, the title is one of the only real issues that I have. Heroes and Villains, I don't really think it like the album title doesn't really reflect in the songs. Like, there's no songs about like issues in society or there might be, but hidden meanings. But there's no songs about like superheroes or like evil people in the world or those who want to do good. But it's still an interesting title. So, but anyway, we're 8 minutes in. Let's get to the review. So the album starts off with the first track, "The World Outside." No exaggeration, my favorite song on the whole album. Which might say, well, it peaks at the beginning. Does it mean the rest isn't good? Definitely not true at all. But this is a solid opening track. It starts off with these beautiful like guitar effects. Very like catchy and memorable. And then it just like blows up into like just like string arrangements and just like guitar playing. It's a beautiful song. The singing, there's a lot of falsetto in it. Can you feel it up inside? I don't know what it is about this song, but it makes me think of like being like on the top floor of like a skyscraper, looking like outside of the window. You know what? All the big buildings, all the tall buildings, looking at the people down below. I can really picture that when I hear this song, and I love this song. The lyrics as well make me suggest like think of like maybe family drama because it's like your father's part of you. So it really reflects on that. The song is most notable for featuring in the 2004 movie The Perfect Score, which I've never seen. So maybe I'll watch The Perfect Score just for this song. So yeah, it's apparently a movie about like a bunch of students that try to cheat the SATs or something like that. So it was quite a funny movie, I'm guessing. But anyway, The World Outside, I adore this song. It's amazing. And if I get permission or something, I might use these songs in a film someday. So expect that. But anyway, track 2, Fade In slash Out. That's how it's spelled. This was my first ever Paloalto song because I obviously heard it on Daredevil the album. I don't think it was in the 2003 Daredevil movie. It wasn't in the film, but it was on the soundtrack album. And it was one of the like softer songs on that album because it's not really metal, but yeah, it's an alt rock song. It's a very rocky song. Very fast paced, like the kind of thing that you would bob your head to. But the verses are very like feeling like the high school prom, kind of like subdued, I guess. But anyway, it's a very exciting song. The chorus is so catchy. I don't wanna fade out, I don't wanna fade in, like everybody should. And it's a song about like fitting in and things like that. But it's a very rocky song. But even though it was my first Palo Alto song, it's not one of my favorites, surprisingly. But I'm really glad I found it on the Daredevil album because it introduced me to another amazing band. Um, and also, this was the only, I think it might be the only Palo Alto song with a music video. I don't think any of the songs off the first album had one, and none of the others do, which is a real shame. But yeah, Fade Out slash In did have a music video, and it's basically just the band members like playing in front of a screen. It's not really that exciting, like surprisingly, but yeah. Also to note here, the band members are this guy and like this guy and a few others. I think him, which you can tell because they're the ones with long hair. Anyway, let's move on. Track number 3, Last Way Out of Here, which was also in the Perfect Score movie. This is a more slower pace kind of song. It's very slow tempo. The chorus is more kind of like an emotional sounding one. It's like a one to pull on your heartstrings, which is very common with this album. Most of the songs sound like that. But it's not one of my favorites, but it is still a really pretty song. I also like the guitar effects, the which kind of makes me think of like country music or like Wild West kind of vibes, which is interesting. But yeah, Last Way Out of Here. The next song is probably, I actually think this is my second favorite song on the album. Breathe In. Oh, absolutely gorgeous song. Starts off with that dreamy sounding guitar, and then the drums kick in, and then amazing guitar work here on this song. It's a very romantic, dreamy sounding song with the chorus. Breathe in, look what's all around you. And it's a very beautiful song. It's very close to me. I love it. Um, and there's parts where the drums obviously stop as well to kind of process it, and then they kick back in. It's just like high energy, but it's still like a ballad. And the song is notable for being featured in the 2004 Hellboy movie, which I've never seen. I know there was one in 2019, which I heard wasn't very good, and I think I do remember Hellboy 2 coming out when I was a kid, but I don't remember the first one. I've never seen it, so I might have to check it out because Hellboy is a pretty interesting character. So yeah, that song is in the movie. There's a lot of songs in movies here. So Breathe In, beautiful song. Next one is Going, Going, Gone. This definitely sounds like a rom-com song. Which he's gotta know, I'm not going home. Waiting. Sorry, I can't remember the lyrics, but yeah, there's a lot of falsetto used in there. It's a very like hopeful sounding song. It's very positive sounding. It fits right out of a rom-com movie because going back to movies, it was in the soundtrack of Shallow Hal. You know that movie with Jack Black and Gwyneth Paltrow. You know, so for some reason that song was in the Shallow Hal soundtrack. So I've never seen the movie like again, so I don't know if it's actually in the movie, but it is on the soundtrack. So yeah, it was in Shallow Hal. Going, Going, Gone. Chorus has a lot of high energy. It's happy sounding song. I really like that one. Next, Throwing Stones, one of my favorite tracks on the album. It's a little bit more somber sounding, like Just the kind of like riffs there, and the singer kind of like has a bit of sadness in his voice, especially the chorus. Don't wanna be here throwing stones, but I do really like it. But my favorite part of the whole song is actually the middle eight, the middle of the song, where it's like the lyrics are like, "I'm feeling like a puppet dangling on a string, so cut the strings off me." Sorry, like a puppet dancing around, so cut the strings off me, so he falls to the floor. It's like about being, someone controlling you, and it's a very beautiful part of the song. The singing delivery as well. He's got a great voice. One of my favorite songs on the album, easily. The next song, "What You Are." This is one of the lesser songs. It's a little bit more rocky. It's one of the heavier songs on the album. A lot of like lead guitar, a lot of wow, 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 wah pedal kind of stuff. And this is what you are. And this song is strange because it's like this, the singing isn't in time with the riffs. Like the singing is a bit like off, but it's like, obviously, I think that's what the non-singles try to do on like rock music like this, where the singing isn't like completely in sync with the guitar playing, if you get what I mean. But it's still a decent song, but just not as good or emotional. Next, we've got we're on track number 8, by the way. There's 12 tracks on the album, so just get that out of the way. Bones, which is one of the longer songs on the album. It's this song's completely different vibe. It's very what would I say, dramatic sounding, and it kind of sounds eerie sounding. Like this song would play like when something like bad happens, I think. When something isn't like right. It's on the more sorrowful, kind of sadder side, I think. It's a bit darker, this song, as well. The lyrics, like, broken bones and things. It's an interesting song. It's not one of the most accessible ones, but it is pretty interesting. I still think it's really good. And the song ends with about like 10 to 15 seconds of just like random clicking. It just clicks a load of times. I don't know what that's all about. So yeah, and then after that we jump straight into the next song like it's like nothing. It doesn't end like properly. It just clicks, but it's interesting anyway. So yeah, that's a good one. Also, speaking of throwing stones, that apparently was on some like TV show as well back in the 2000s. I don't remember the name of it, so it doesn't matter. And they had a song called "Try," which was in the 2003 Warner Bros. Tarzan show, which is kind of a weird show where Tarzan is kind of like in the modern world. He's not an ape man, he's a man who's being experimented in a lab. And "Try" was the theme song for that show. But the song only exists in a 40-second intro. So, and it was never released. It's not on this album, and there's no other copy on the internet other than that 40 seconds, which is really sad because I like that song. Maybe James Grundler has a copy of it somewhere. I really don't know, but it's very sad. Anyway, let's move on to probably my third favourite song on the album. Might be my second. "Sleeping Citizens." Oh, this song is just. This is a beautiful, gorgeous song. I absolutely love it. It's one of the softer tracks on the album. It feels very dreamy, very romantic, and slow tempo. And the chorus is like add a lot of imagery in your head. I'm jumping off the fence, my head's doing somersaults. I'm halfway to pay the rent. I don't know if I'm clean. But then like the chorus just goes into absolute beauty. "Come on, makes it home, sleeping citizens." And there's like little dong, 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 dong. Like the guitars are just dreamy and beautiful. It makes me feel like I'm in a dream or with somebody that I love. It's just like it's a beautiful song. It's enough to make you cry. This song has made me cry before. It's really the only song on the album that does give me that reaction, but it tingles that certain part of like your spine, and gives you goosebumps. It's that kind of song. It's like the high pitched guitars, and the middle of the song as well is like really good. Like I see I see the reflection on the sidewalk, and there's like lyrics about the sun. It's really beautiful sounding. So, "Sleeping Citizens," it ends as well really beautifully as well, kind of like a music box kind of thing. It's very similar to going back to Radiohead. No Surprises. maybe not as depressing as No Surprises, but it does kind of have a bittersweet feel to it. And yeah, Sleeping Citizens, oh, amazing, amazing track. Also, in addition as well, Radiohead has a song called Paloalto, which was a B-side on OK Computer. So interesting. Next one is Hangman. This one also has a slower kind of like tempo. It's got pianos. Bones has pianos in it as well. So it's not just guitars and drums. Um, it's very slow paced, like slow drumming. It's not one of my favorite songs on the album, this one. But it is like quite nice to listen to. It's quite calming, and he does the high pitched falsetto kind of thing. But the only reason I don't like this song is it it's a curse in music, the la da da di da la 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 di la di da kind of thing, which shows like when you can't think of lyrics, just say las, do's, and das and d's. So I'm not so fond of that bit, but it fits the song anyway, the dreamy, peaceful, soft kind of feel. So it is nice. Uh, we're almost to the end, guys. Always Running Home, one of the rockier songs. Very fat, not really fast paced, but it picks up the tempo. Um, it has a pop punk kind of vibe. It reminds me of a pop punk, this song, kind of like pop punk song. Always Running Home. So how can you run? Live here on my own. You know, like how can you run? I also really like the chord progression as well. The like the chords kind of like keep going up, like the guitar. So this song's really good, and it starts off with like radio noises at the beginning as well, which is interesting. Oh yeah, and there's a kick-ass guitar solo. There's a guitar solo in this song and Fade Out Slash In. I don't. Some of the other songs might have had solos in, but I don't remember. That's a great song. And the final track on the album, Seed, which is track 12. Seed. Now, this song also has a very different vibe. It feels very triumphant and dramatic, or maybe tragic in a way. That's how the song sounds. It sounds dramatic, climactic. It's a great ending song because it really has that feel to it. And the lyrics kind of like put a lot of imagery in your head as well. Like, you know, it's talking about it, and it shakes my teeth, it shakes my bones, and I think there's like metal mentions, you know, metal and things. I don't know what the song is about, but the chorus constantly replays, repeats the line, "Carry the seed, carry the seed." The seed, I'm guessing, is like I don't know, the child, or continuing the lifeline or something, the generations. I don't really know, but the song ends on a really good note as well. I'm glad they chose this song and not like one of the sadder songs or one of the rockier songs. They chose this one because it sounded like dramatic, and in a way, it kind of ends the legacy of this short-lived band, Paloalto, because unfortunately they broke up in 2005. They reunited a few times to play some like live shows in the 2010s, and they also had like some like singles that were put out only digitally. I think they released 2 new songs in 2014, but those songs barely got any attention or views, so they may as well not have even been released. But it's still interesting. But this was the last full semi-mainstream thing that they put out. So Paloalto, you did a fantastic job with this album. I know it's from 18 years ago, but it still sounds fresh. It's aged really well. But my theory, before I end the video, I don't think it did well because these guys were Americans. Face it, this type of softer kind of rock, alt rock, didn't really have much of an audience in like the early 2000s. But in the UK, bands like Coldplay, Keane, Travis, you name it, they were all really big and like doing successful. Paloalto fits right into with those guys, but they were in America, which is where new metal and pop punk was big. So these guys didn't really make much of an impact, which is super sad. And even being in famous movies didn't save them. But still, I recommend you check it out. It's on YouTube and Spotify. My friend Melamano Addicto uploaded it on his channel, but it got taken down because of BS copyright. But if you like this kind of music, absolutely check them out. They're amazing. So thanks for watching the video, guys. Expect like my future projects to come soon before a new album review. I hope you enjoyed it anyway. I hope you found my video relaxing or interesting, and I hope you have a safe day. I hope you're doing well, and I'll also stay tuned for the year-end video as well. So, because 2021's almost over. But anyways, thanks for watching, guys. Peace out. Stay tuned for future videos.